What should I do next?
What does your screen say?
It just says recording. It says live
We're live.
on custom live streaming service.
We're live. We can start.
Let's start.
Auntie K, we can start.
Okay, I'm gonna share it on Facebook on the page.
Okay, just hold on. Mpati?
Yes.
Okay, I think you can do an introduction. We can go live now.
Where do I continue from where I left off, or?
No, you have to start from scratch.
So let me just share the link. Give people 5 minutes going live.
Oh, Puli says give people 5 minutes because she's sharing on the WhatsApp. We are live.
Let's go back on.
Dumelang, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Before we begin, Mahala, why was I not away on this call? Let's see.
I am on.
But you may go ahead now. We're live.
Yes. Before we begin, please allow me to pay our respects to His Majesty Kilitie III of Lesotho, Her Majesty Queen Motselisi, who is also the patron of Hlokomela Banana Project, which enjoyed a special place in Motselisi's heart. The Right Honorable the Prime Minister, members of Cabinet, inclusive of our mother, Ramakoae, Their Excellencies, heads of diplomatic mission and international organizations, and friends and family. We are here today to honor the life of Motselisi Ramakoae. Tshidi, Sidi, Susan, Ngwanana wa Mosotho, a beautiful soul who was full of love and life, as you will no doubt hear today. My name is Mpati Maukwa, and I will be the program director today. Motselisi was a very, very close friend, sister really, a sister I had known for 40 years. When she turned 47 earlier this year, on the 23rd of January, I had expressed one simple wish for her: 47 more years, because we still had so much to do together, but it was not to be. Today, we are not going to be sad. We are going to celebrate life. I was given instructions to hold myself together and to manage the time, because the program is quite long, which is not surprising, because we all knew TD to be a people's person. So my request to all speakers is to please stick to the allocated time and to align themselves with the protocol salutations already observed. I know we do not have enough time to speak about our beloved city, so you are invited to continue posting tributes on the Facebook group in loving memory of Motselisi Ramakoae. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Dr. Kulube, TD's doctor in Maseru, and a long-time friend, to give us a brief history of her illness. Dr. Kulube.
Good evening, everybody. I hope you can hear me. Okay, I'd like to align myself with protocol that has already been observed, and to just say, TD started being sick around the week leading to the weekend of the 9th and 10th of January. And really, around that time, we were doing our usual thing, which was just, consultation over the phone, and then a prescription via WhatsApp, because she wasn't really that sick. But towards the weekend, you know, it got a little bit serious, and I know I had to renew her prescription around the weekend of the 10th, and you know, I had to caution her that, you know, look, should anything change, please be ready to call me. Let's go to the hospital so that I can refer you to Bloemfontein. And indeed, things got worse around the 11th. Around the 10th, really. And in the 11th, in the morning, we referred her to a Mediclinic in Bloemfontein. But you know, that first week was okay. You know, we were speaking via WhatsApp. You know, she was her jolly self, sending pictures, you know, videos of herself on oxygen. But you know, by the second week, things changed a little bit, and you know, she was on high flow oxygen this time, and you know, she wasn't speaking that much, but you know, still had jovial self when she could send a picture. And I remember around the 17th, you know, I think it was the last WhatsApp to me that said, you know, what her saturation was around 92%, and we were saying, no man, we're going to beat this. Anyway, we stopped speaking for a while, but around the 23rd of January, I got a call from Mema Tsepo. I didn't know she was in Bloemfontein, and she was with the doctor, and you know, we spoke a little bit about, you know, ivermectin. I know everybody will remember that ivermectin was topical that week. You know, whether we should use ivermectin or not, whether it's available in South Africa. But you know, the mood changed a bit when the doctor talked to me, because he now told me that, you know, he has had to intubate CD because her lungs had collapsed. Okay, I got a bit scared, but you know, I was still thinking, you know, this is a young person, you know, we'll beat this, she'll come out of this. We didn't really speak much that week, leading to the 30th. And on the 30th, when we talked, he told me that, you know what, we're still struggling. This person is still in ICU. We're now dealing with high blood pressure, with kidney failure. We've had to dialyze her. And I really got scared, and I think I stopped calling him that day. I know we spoke with Mpati that very morning, but you know, the nurse in charge at the hospital had given me Matsapo reassurances that, you know what, values are coming down, the dialysis is working, so we still got a bit hopeful. I didn't speak to the doctor from the 30th. You know, until the dreaded phone call came on the 4th. And I remember telling him that, man, I told you, don't call me. I don't want to get any calls from you, because, you know, I'm expecting to speak to you when CD gets out of ICU. But it was that call that you didn't want. And he said, you know, man, I think we've lost this battle. We've done all we could, but, and this is when he told me that the Tuesday before, CD's blood pressure had dropped quite a bit, and that's when the perfusion to the brain stopped, and this is what led to her final demise. You know, CD wasn't just a patient; she was a longtime friend. She was my you know, that brutal, honest friend who you know, I really don't have any words to express. But in a nutshell, this is really the battle that took our sister. And thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Kolove. That must have been extremely difficult for you. Next, we will have the eulogy by Melindy Pumulo, another one of TD's dearest friends. Lindy.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Motselisi Emily Ramakoae was born on the 23rd of January, 1974 at Scott Hospital in Morija, Maseru. She's the firstborn daughter of Ndate Base of Petros Ramakoae and Mematsepo Elelwam Modise Ramakoae. Her education. Motselisi attended primary school at Iketsetseng Primary School. Thereafter, she proceeded to St. Stephen's High School, and then she went to the National University of Lesotho. There she attained a Bachelor of Science in Physics and Physical Geography in 1995. 3 years later, she obtained a master's degree in Science and Geographical Information Systems at the University of Stellenbosch in South Africa. A tireless student, she attended various academic programs and courses in leadership and management, and more recently at the London School of Economics. Her work. Motselisi's career started in 1999 in Cape Town, where she worked as a GI specialist and employee number 2 at Spatial Dimensions, a company providing services to mining companies worldwide. She then moved back home in 2003 as an international civil servant working for the UNDP as an Environment and Energy Program Officer, and as part of a core team that defined addressing the HIV and AIDS pandemic as a development crisis. In 2006, she was appointed country manager for Mutapa Exploration. This was a diamond company that was responsible for establishing Mutai Diamonds. Motselisi then worked as a chief accounting officer for Mutai Diamonds from 2009 until 2016. In 2017, Motselisi established her own consultancy company, named it Muradi Consultants, providing environmental management, monitoring and evaluation, and social services to various development projects in the mining industry, the construction industry, and infrastructure projects in the country and within the region. Throughout her career, Motselisi strove for excellence and achieved a wide range of experiences. As a result, she was invited to numerous boards. A consummate professional, articulate, knowledgeable, proactive, and brutally honest. These are the attributes that endeared her to many. Her charities. Motselisi contributed to various charities, including Hlokomela Banana, Kick for Life, Riders for Health. And we all know that she was an avid golfer and had a passion for hiking and cycling. She epitomized herself as Moradi wa Mosotho, a patriot who promoted her country at every opportunity. She wore a stylish Basotho hat tattoo, half an inch above her ankle. Her family. Motselisi is survived by her mother, Metepo, and her younger brother, Mpomodise. Rest in peace, Moradi wa Mosotho. You have run your race. I thank you.
Thank you, Melindy. You have given us a very good introduction to Motselisi and some indications of how one that is so young could have touched so many lives. We've got friends to speak. We've got Pumuzo Majodina, who will be followed by Ndaterefulu Mashologo. And then Pumuzo Ndatere Mashologo will speak on behalf of friends that TD made during her school days and varsity days. Mayor Pumuzo, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Program Director, and good evening to everyone. I just want to get into what I have to do. That I met Motselisi in 1986 when we got to start our high school, and then that's where I got to know her, but I hadn't seen her for the first time. And we immediately clicked. I remember the first night we were one of the Form 1 students who arrived the first day, and there were some who came in on the second day. So I remember also that she was from Iketsetseng primary school, with rather more of them from Iketsetseng. And I would say having chosen me as one of her friends, and we clicked as we clicked, was an honor to me. And I must say that she even made me get to know all these other schoolmates from primary school. And we were a very connected group of people. We developed a very strong friendship. There were people like Palesa Ramagatani. We were with Sadiko Ntambi, Tabela Ndohosla, Nzaki Keta, Jwalani Mpeti, Lerato Mapetla, Ntaupa, Tlaleng, and we were with other people that we went to school with. That Motselisi was always very energetic with all of us. She was always loving. And I must say, the main thing that she would always be doing will be in sports. I was active in sports. I was a sprinter myself, but then she was a long distance runner. So we would be complementing each other whenever we had competitions. So those were the activities. She was one, I think that she was one of the only people that played tennis throughout the 5 years. And she was the one that competes for school, or competes for the competition amongst ourselves at school. She ended up being one person who could be a leader in one of, we were classified in houses named against the leaders of the continent differently. So she ended up being a leader, because you would be a leader when you get to Form 5. She became a leader. She was also very active, even in any other activities that included the quizzes that we had. She was very active in especially in the science fair. In the science fair, she will even pull you. If you don't want to go, she will just pull you and say, let's go. So even with the in the chapel, Motselisi will be leading the hymns, although someone was saying that sometimes she would make us miss the note and we'd be like laughing. But then it was fine. She would be the one doing it, because nobody else would be doing it. But even reading the scriptures in the chapel, she would be the one doing it, and the others. But then one thing that I also remember, one amusing thing, was that when Motselisi, the very first time that we got to Form 1, we used to have movie nights on Saturdays, but then there will be other days where you will be having those activities where you just have to show what you can do, or show your talents. So I remember Motselisi, it was one of the first weekends that we had just started school, and she came in she registered as Whitney Houston, and then we were like, okay. She sang the Greatest Love of All, and it was a song for everyone else. But then apparently she planned for 2 songs. Then she went back to the dormitory and then came in with a blue big shirt and a headband. Then she came in with this one. How will I know? That's when we got to know Motselisi, that she can be versatile. She can just be anybody that she wants to be at any point in time. But then she was definitely a magnet. You would always be with her and you would always be laughing. I remember Palesa would always be laughing with Motselisi and all of us. And Mankamwing was also one who with us in the same class. So all I can say is that within those years, the foundation that Motselisi got is a foundation that took us even through the high school, where she got her very good marks. She got a first class. She was a first class person. Even at pharmacy, she was a married person. And then we went to Lespec. She was still like that. And I remember I would be so afraid to do dissection, but she would just do it. And then I'll write the report and we will be fine. That's how we complemented each other. And it is so hard to, as I'm speaking, it's like I'm just still in a dream that Motselisi is not with us. So I think for her friends, we should be thankful that she was with us. And we should be thankful that she pulled us through as a friend until this moment. Motselisi was still doing a lot of things with us. Motselisi was still doing a lot of things that really developed us until we get to this age. So even through her life, she was always informing us of everything that she was doing. All that Mel Lindwe has just read for us here, we witnessed it. And I just want to say to Mema Tshepo that I will just say that Motselisi made us know you. She made us love you, and you loved us as well. Motselisi got to know our families, and our families loved her. They just beamed when she got into the houses, and they would be like, Motselisi. And she was always welcome, and we were always welcome at Mama Tsepo's place. So the love that she's living with us, I know even my daughter told me, my 10-year-old daughter told me that, Mommy, she will always live in your heart. And we know that even our scriptures tell us that 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 13, that everything shall diminish, everything shall just diminish, but hope, faith, and love will be there forever, which means our spirits will always be living with Motselisi. Our love and her love will always be cherished until we also meet her in another life. And Mema Tshepo, I would want to also say to her that she had Motselisi, she was a blessing, and she could stand upright, she could stand tall, but she has been able to nurture a girl like Motselisi, a woman like Motselisi. And towards this latest time, Mema Tshepo would just be saying, when Motselisi talks to her, she would be saying, me responding to Motselisi, meaning Mema Tshepo had actually, God had given her graceful acknowledgement that Motselisi has grown to be somebody who will take care of her. But then God is always the decider. And now I know Mema Tshepo has a lot of children. We are here and we'll always be there for her. Any one of us will always be available for anything that she needs. And I think we all have to be blessed and feel very comforted by the life of Motselisi. Thank you, Program Director.
Thank you, Mepumoto. Judge Mashulugu, you may proceed.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you, but my name is Baba Refiwe Mashologo, or as TD used to call me when scandalized by my typically bad jokes. Refiwe way. All protocols, as narrated by a program director, are honored and observed. TD called me on the morning of New Year's Eve. It was around 11 a.m. She was with another of my favorite friends, Mahomu Mutau, and they were busy with some morning refreshments to prepare them for the turn of the year that night. We joked about COVID-19, with TD suggesting that I might be at risk if I didn't immediately join them in their internal sanitization efforts. I capitulated, but stressed that should I meet my end, TD, and not Mahom, who had all of her paraphernalia COVID related, that TD was to speak at my funeral. How ironic and tragic then that within 6 weeks of that conversation, I find myself speaking at her memorial. And in the moment that perhaps best captures the cruelty of her passing, the sheer unforeseeability of it all, TD sent us a 12-second video that evening that most of us would have received somewhere around 8 p.m. on the evening of 31 December 2020, in which her words and her wishes for all of us were simply, "Happy New Year, my darlings. Good life for all of us for 2021. I tried to mimic her voice and her energy when she sent us that message. But aside from that ill-fated conversation, please allow me to act slightly out of character and to establish my bona fides and right to the incredible privilege to speak at this memorial. You see, a few days after I got the call, why me? Yes, me, precisely because TD was more than a friend. To me, she was a member of my family. She was my sister. You see, TD was not just friends with me, she was friends with most of my family members too. Friends with Bimbo and Tabo, my elder brothers, from times before I even met her. Matsidi Arsenal days, in case you're wondering. She was friends with my younger brother Tabang, friends with my sisters, Mandisa, Nozipo, Voyani, and Noni. She was friends with my spouse, Maran. Mind you, all of these people are scattered around the world, from Cape Town to Johannesburg, to Nairobi, to Atlanta, to Ottawa. And yet all of them had a strong, strong bond with TD. That is not a friend, ladies and gentlemen, and Mematsebo. That is a family member. TD was one of us. TD was a Mashologo, if we may claim her as such, with origins in the village of Morija, from where we also hail. Yes, I actually boldly confirm that I am the right person to represent TD today. And Madam Program Director, I wish to tell you that as much as I will try to respect time, I will also take the time that I need, because TD would not wish me to take shortcuts and to not represent her fully. And Mematsebo deserves to know what her child means to us. So I ask your indulgence to tell TD's story and to take the time I need, as much as I will try to rush. In the interest of time, I will talk about TD, the multidimensional person, in 3 paradigms only. She had several more, but I will self-manage and limit myself to just the 3. And if worst comes to worst, I will borrow from Dr. Kolobe's time. Dr. Kolobe. I start with TD the Patriot. Lindy referred to this earlier. Commonly known as Moradi wa Mosotho, TD had this exceptional ability to strengthen our sentiment and bond with the motherland. You could debate the goings-on of Lesotho at any time and into any level of detail with TD. And when you're both exasperated, as often you were, and perhaps feeling that our nationhood is a lost cause, TD would, with quiet passion, gently remind you of Lesotho's wondrous natural beauty, of the spirit and character of its people, of its cultural attributes, and even of its precious diamonds. Those with whom she golfed and hiked will tell you more about her love of the country. Suffice to say, whether you liked to or not, you would soon be feeling sentimental and considering your options to either visit soon or even to commit to settling back in Lesotho upon your retirement. Moradi wa Mosotho, Tshidi was the ultimate ambassador for our kingdom in the sky. I move on to Tshidi the friend. I do not know when I met Tshidi and whether it was before or after we started our first year at the National University of Lesotho 30 years ago. What I do know is that within a few quick days of our arrival on campus, we were friends. And we never looked back. We just seemed to go from one level of friendship to another, almost from week to week. And even then, with almost zero questions or conscious discussions about it. After it became our daily routine to hook up together with a gaggle of crazy friends, most of whom were school friends from St. Stephen's or even Iketsetseng in a lifetime before, and who I wish I could name if time permitted. My clearest early memory was in relation to a pair of shoes we exchanged, as could only happen with Tshidi. You see, my mother had been studying overseas, and I think on her way home, finally she had made an impulsive guilt purchase at whichever airport she was departing from. She bought me a pair of sneakers. Tshidi had found me sitting one day in my luxury accommodation in the VIP prefab residence of Machabeng, staring at these sneakers. They looked to me to be distinctly unmasculine. And Poko, surname Poko, my roommate, offered nothing to refute this view. Anyway, Tshidi and I left to head to the tennis courts just past Mzala's, where we used to test each other. Tshidi was quite a player, by the way. On our way back, Tshidi put her arm around my shoulder and said, "My friend, your sneakers seem to be causing you some distress. Why don't we swap? You can take mine instead. Why don't we swap?" But now, what a relief. And right there and then, Tshidi and I exchanged shoes on the pathway, never to look back. A white pair of Nike tennis shoes with an orange swoosh. I loved them, and I wore them until they were just Ikes. The N had eventually run away. Now, you might wonder why this would be a special memory for me. It is because it highlighted very early on the sensitivity that Tshidi had for the feelings of others, and the generosity and self-sacrifice she was prepared to make for her friends, old or new. But more than that, if we step it up, Tshidi had a very, very special quality. I can tell you for free that Tshidi was no great singer, as that 31st December message told us, nor was she an orator or joke teller, like my good friend, Mr. Malefani, who recommended me for this role. She was no prankster or special entertainment talent. No, Tshidi was not the best at any of these, but she was the best human being. She had an innate quality, one that many of us are extremely poor at. Tshidi was able to be present. Tshidi was never distracted when with you. She was never inattentive. She was never bored. She was seldom in a hurry to be elsewhere. And she listened. Tshidi was the one person who always checked in, followed up, called, visited. Tshidi never let you be forgotten or be unseen. She was vigilant. She was diligent. She was present. I will share a message from Poko at the end, capturing this precise theme. Tshidi was also honest, humble, transparent, uncomplicated. She never seemed to be hiding secrets. She was never overly concerned by what others thought of her. I was particularly struck, as with the sneakers, when Tshidi called me up in Joburg one day a few years ago and told me that she'd be coming for dinner. I was excited, and I instructed Patrick to make sure we would have a delicious meal prepared. I selected some especially tasty wines for us to drink. When Tshidi arrived, she was in her usual high spirits. but somehow something indicated that there was a specific purpose to her visit. It was not just for a meal and a libation, as per usual. And after the kids had gone to bed, as we sat at the dinner table, the three of us, including my wife, Tiri shared with us that she was contemplating having a baby. Unlike most of my guests over the years, Tiri did not drag me to the bar or some corner for a clandestine, exclusive conversation. She shared her dream and her fears with both of us and allowed my wife to provide much needed insights about pregnancy late into what became an inebriated night. But in the days that followed that conversation, I felt more honored to have been part of it. And I wondered, how could I help the decision or the journey? I even naively mentioned to my wife one evening that perhaps I should offer to be a donor. I was sharply reminded that Tiri must surely have had ambitions for tall, good-looking, and intelligent children. I never broached the matter of my offer of donorship with Tiri. Tiri, as a traveler, a wanderer, a free spirit. I have mentioned previously the geographic footprint of the community Tiri fostered and maintained. In a short space of time, I found that Tiri and I had shared laughs in Roma, Gaborone, Mbabane, Durban, Cape Town, Stellenbosch, and most crazily, in Vancouver, Canada, the furthest place I have ever been to in my life. So much so that when people ask me what airline I had flown to get there, I would say NASA. I literally felt like I had left planet Earth to get there. And yet who was there with my family and I? Motselisi Ramakoae. What a wonderful trip, my friend. And so it came as no surprise to me that no sooner had I put her picture on my WhatsApp profile than I was receiving calls from every corner of the world. Maseru, Gaborone, Manzini, Cape Town, Nairobi, Dar es Salaam, Kampala, Washington, DC, Atlanta, Ottawa. And trust me, Tiri had visited those friends in most, if not all of those places. The calls from Botswana came from friends, most of whom I had not seen in decades, but who Tiri had frequently played golf with over the recent years, or engaged in some other habits that our very own NDZ would not approve of. If you were a friend, Tiri visited you, no matter the distance. Tiri supported you. Tiri was present. And it is no surprise or point of shame, ladies and gentlemen, that we are shattered as we are now. Because as of the 4th of February, 2021, Tiri is absent. Our collective loss is profound. We have truly lost one of the most unassuming, generous, humble, gentle, and loving souls. But in the London School of Economics, I didn't even know that actually. Anyway, and as brief as her generous 12-second video and message were the ones I referred to in my introduction on New Year's Eve. Good life for all of us. So too was her life and time on this earth. Gone too soon, our darling Tiri, but not without impact and legacy. You will forever be in our hearts. Mea, we are here with you and for you. It would take all of Tiri's 1,000 or more friends to try and replace her. And still, we would not completely be able to. But please know that we will try. We will try. I wish to quickly read some messages from some other male friends that were sent to me briefly. From Poko out in DC. Hey, Ba, my nickname to him. I'm so glad you reached out and gave me the opportunity to finally have a good cry for our friend. Motselisi was my friend. She was a good friend to me, a dear friend. I wanted to keep my grief close to me and not share it. This loss was too close, too intimate. I didn't want to hear anything, see anything, or know anything. I just wanted to remember my friend as she was, as she is in my mind. With her, every encounter was a celebration of life, something she had in abundance. She shared it with everyone and never seemed to run out, making this dagger all the more pointed. She had a rare gift. She could talk to anyone and talked to everyone, and somehow made each person feel a singular connection. I know her. She knows me. She is my friend. Motselisi was our friend. We will miss her. From Tabang, out in Ottawa, there are truly no words for such a loss. We send our heartfelt condolences to Mayor Matsepo and the family. Tsidi was the light of our lives, our beloved sister, and dear Auntie Tsidi to our children. May each of us smile through our tears at her memory. We will never forget Tsidi. May her soul rest in peace. And lastly, from the irrepressible Ngwebelitsi, without whom life on and off campus would have never been the same. Thanks, Mashudu. It'll take me the minute. Thanks, Mashudu, for enabling me a slot to pay my respects to Motselisi. How do you summarize a 30-plus year friendship in 3 minutes? Let me try. To most of us, Kongs, as we used to call each other, long story from our Rama days, was not just a friend, she was family. She was Masiwing's child, just as we are Matsepo's children. She loved life and she lived it to the fullest. We always knew where she was from looking at her Facebook pictures. She was one of the most supportive, sympathetic, and caring people I know. If you asked her for something, she would go beyond the call of duty to assist. She was also one of the most principled people I know. If she did not agree with something, she would not hide it and would let you know. She would rather resign on principle. The person would come to your house and only leave 2 or 3 bottles later, even when she said she's just popping in. Same thing when you went to her place. That was the sort of person she was. Thank you very much, Madam Program Director Kialabo.
Thank you. Yeah, there I was also thinking Tsidi was I thought Tsidi was a Makwa too. I'm going to juggle my program a bit. I will now ask the children, Auntie Tsidi's children. As we all know, Tsidi was a deputy mother and aunt extraordinaire to our children. So I'd like to ask Alex to come forward, please. He'll be followed by Mota and Orifile Ntshe. That is Alex Sekhwale, followed by Mota and Orifile Ntshe.
Thank you. Good evening, family and friends. My name is Alex Sekhwale. I've known Auntie Tsidi my entire 27-year life. My mom had me very young, and as one of her best friends, she stepped in and was very supportive and loving throughout. They experimented with me, and Auntie Tsidi played a pivotal role to our family. We started to visit Lesotho from Norway when I was 2 years old, and I am told that she would insist on being the one to take care of me. Between Auntie Tsidi and Auntie Mpati, the two of them would take over the entertaining and babysitting. I only spoke Norwegian at the time, and they would patiently teach me how to speak Sesotho whilst giggling at my accent. When we finally moved to Africa, we visited Lesotho often, and I remember her always being there. One of my earlier memories are of her living in the cottage at Nkgono Matsepo's house. I remember her cooking a lot of amazing meals. She used to joke that I must be fed a lot as long as I'm around her, as my mom wasn't exactly a cook. My aunt had a vibrant soul, and she literally lit up the room wherever she went. She was full of joy and always eager to help out, no matter what the problem was. She was an aunt and a second mother to many of us. As a little boy, I remember her being laid back and cooler than my mom and all my other aunts. She was always the first to take my side, let me get away with my shenanigans, and take all the blame. We've had lots of laughs and many fun times. My last memories of her are simple: a loving, passionate figure of strength that supported us all and who soldiered on, even when times were tough. She was not only a parent to me, and I sit here and speak on behalf of children like my brother Amani and Buli, Mapansi, Pielo, and many others. I saw videos earlier of children in the neighborhood who also spoke very fondly of her at a memorial they had for her. This goes to show that her big heart was not only reserved for those close to her, but she loved children in a very genuine way. When I graduated from university, she was very proud, and I felt that she had played a big role encouraging me as one of my mother figures. Let me not take up too much time. That is reserved for my elders like Uncle Baba. But in conclusion, I would like to say that this is a great privilege to speak on behalf of all those who loved her, to express the sadness that we all shared. Auntie Tidi, thank you for everything you've given me and the warmth we shared during your precious time on earth. I will always miss you. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Can we have Mota and Urifile to give that tribute, please, to Auntie City?
Good evening, everyone. So just like Alex, we knew Auntie City our whole lives, and I'm sure that we weren't related to Auntie City, but she was still our auntie. She was that auntie where if you heard that she was coming to visit or we were going to visit her, that you knew a good time was guaranteed. Every time we went to Lesotho, it was a must that we had to visit Auntie City. I specifically remember in 2017 when she took me, my brother, and my mom to the Lesotho Sky in Simonkong. And the weather was terrible. It was rainy, it was muddy. We couldn't ride any of the horses, but despite all of that, Auntie Tidi made the trip so much fun. We drove the car in the mud through the mountains. We played board games in the cabins. She was, damn. During that trip, Auntie Tidi was probably responsible for the amount of fun we had. She brought all the joy, and because there were so many people who came from around the world for the Lesotho Sky, and not only did she know everyone, but she seemed to be friends with everyone. Oh, shucks. During that trip, Auntie Tidi was like a second mother for us with my mom. They teamed up, and she was a mother who had no negative characteristics like others. She wouldn't shout at us. She didn't tell us what to do. It was just fun, happy, good vibes. All our life, we've called Auntie Tidi, Auntie Tidi. Even though she isn't related, I think the title was extremely fitting because she treated us like family. We treated her like family. And I'm sure for a lot of young people, they also called her Auntie Tidi. And because she would treat them like family, they treated her like family. For many young people like myself and my brother, Auntie Tidi played a significant role in our lives. I'd just like to say on behalf of all the young people that we loved Auntie Tidi and will miss her dearly.
Auntie Tidi was like my second mom. In a way, for like a long time, I actually thought she was my family. And then one day I realized that she's only Mama's friend. And that just showed the way she treated everyone and the people who were close to her. She was determined to take me all across the earth. She wanted to take me skiing in Lesotho because I've never seen snow. She wanted to spoil me and just make her time with the people she loved count. Sometimes she would come back after a year and I wouldn't even recognize her. And all she would have to do is smile and I would just know it's Auntie Tidi. She had a smile that was just like memorable. Like everybody wants that smile. It's just like one thing I always remember about her. And the way that she loved everybody and took us across everywhere. So she'll be missed and will not be forgotten.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. That was a very, very fitting tribute to your Auntie Tidi. By the way, Auntie Tidi does have girl children. Buma Panti, Bumusa, Georgia. So thank you. I was just trying to relieve the young men because they have load shedding. So we're going back to the category of friends. As you know, Tidi had many, many friends. So we have Siobhan McCarthy speaking on behalf of the friends that Tidi made while she was studying and working in Cape Town. Siobhan.
Thank you, Mpati. All protocols observed. Before I start, I'd like to give a shout out to Alex and Sibusiso for sorting out the technical issues that we had earlier on. Thank you very much, guys. I know it was very stressful. So when I first told my niece about CD's passing, her first response, as would be expected, was, "Oh no, auntie, no." Her second response, almost immediately, was, "I can hear her laugh. I can hear her say my name." You see, my niece's name is Noemia, and many people avoid using her full name because it trips them up. But not CD. Not one to back down from a challenge. CD always called her by her full name, Noemia. And then there's that laugh, CD's signature laugh, the laugh that got louder with each passing glass of champagne. And when it was at its loudest, CD would turn to me and say, "Wena Shivers, you're just a problem. Tomorrow you'll be the only one who remembers everything we've said and done." You see, I don't drink. My friend, your files are safe with me now, as they were then. CD and I grew up at Morija. And I'll go off script here for a moment just to say, Baba, you and I will have that conversation offline about Mashulugu versus not Mashulugu. But let's agree, Morija is the common factor. But we only really got to know each other when CD came to Cape Town. Although CD would always remind me that she remembered me from Morija and that I didn't remember her because I'm a snob. I always blamed the 4-year age gap between us. Nobody ever remembers the little kids in school, I would throw back at her. Today I speak on behalf of the Cape Town crew of friends. I've always known that Motselisi was popular, as you've already heard. But not until last week did I really appreciate how far her influence, her circle of friends, her love reached, and how deeply loved she is by so many. As the messages of condolence and support rolled in, the 5-year-old in me started to feel a little bit, don't know what the right word is, maybe envious and possessive of CD. And I found myself asking myself, who are you and how do you know CD? She's my friend. But almost immediately, my adult self would remind me that CD had so much love to give, more than enough for all of us, no matter what background, class, race, age. CD didn't choose. She loved abundantly. Even language was not a barrier. You'd find CD trying to have conversations with people who spoke a very different language that she did not speak. She loved generously. And so I thought it would be appropriate of me to share my 5 minutes today with some of her other friends. The first message I have is from Palisa Sansole. Motselisi, you were kind, considerate, and had a great sense of humor. One memory which demonstrates your thoughtfulness is you realizing that I had to go to the grave of our mutual close friend because I had missed the funeral. You held my hand while I wept because you knew it was going to be cathartic. I have visions of the two of you dancing now. You also thought you were the fixer, like Olivia Pope. In September 2020, you were trying to get me a passport while I was in London and you in Maseru. I don't know why you thought it was your problem, but you made me laugh so much with your determination about how you could make it happen. These two examples epitomize your love and care. Phumula ka kgotso mohaong wa Morena Modimo. The second message is from Kihilo and Tsheche, mother to Mota and Orifile, who you just heard. All I can think of is who am I going to dance wildly with until the wee hours of the morning? Who else knows how to whistle and jam with aplomb like my friend? Mema Tsepo used to scold us after long nights and say, Kihilwe, Kihilwe, wetsang hantle, wetsang le motshedisi, wena o nyetswe. As a family, we are heartbroken and devastated. My children have lost another mother. CD's ability to make each person and child feel special and adored was simply amplified with my boys. Just like a star whose effect is experienced billions of years after its light has dimmed, is still a star, let death not diminish your dazzling light, my friend. Rest easy, my friend. I love you. Some of you will be able to relate with the story I'm about to share with you. For the younger ones amongst you, this may just confirm that your parents are a little weird. So growing up in Lesotho, girls would approach other girls, yes, sometimes complete strangers, whom they wanted to be friends with, and ask them to be their baby. And if the other girl agreed, then the potential for a friendship was born. A bit like accepting a friend request on social media nowadays, I suppose. So when CD one day announced to me that she was now my daughter, I asked no questions and accepted my role. Many years later, when Noemia, my niece, and Simpiwe, my son, came along, she was the most excited and doting big sister. I did, however, draw the line many years later when the kids turned 18 and CD offered to initiate them into the ways of the world. So convinced she was that 20 years later, she was still that cool older sister. I lived vicariously through Motselisi as she crisscrossed the world, visiting places near and far, posting photos and videos on social media. It seems she was always on the go or about to go somewhere. I probably bumped into CD in Johannesburg more often than I did people who actually lived in Johannesburg. And everything she did wholeheartedly. The life of the party, whether we were invited to the party or we were gate crashing the party, she was front and center. Never once shy away from an opportunity, a challenge, or trying something new, a liker of things. If there's anything I learned from Motselisi and I will hold on to, is to live life to the full, not wait until tomorrow. CD was the yin to my yang, the extrovert to my introvert. Authentic in her friendships. I never felt the need to pretend to be anything other than whatever I was feeling that day. If I wanted to be quiet and low-key, it did not faze her. After all, she had enough to say for both of us. It didn't matter how long it had been since we last spoke. We would just pick up from where we left off as if it was yesterday. But when she felt the need to disagree or tell me off, oh, she didn't hold back, trust me. I remember one trip to Lesotho for my cousin, a lady's wedding. She gave me very clear instructions, what time to leave Johannesburg, which border post to use to make sure that I avoided the madness at the border post on Friday evening. When I called her later on that Friday night, frustrated and tired after spending what felt like forever queuing at Maseru border, I got an earful for not listening to her instructions. But it wasn't me she was concerned about. It was that I had my mother with me. How can you put me up through that? How mamele whatever? But Motselisi's anger never lasted long. A group of us were planning a trip to Portugal to walk the Camino. I would really, really like to see and be part of a hike in Motselisi's beloved mountain kingdom in her memory. If the hiking club can help organize that, I will work on convincing the non-hikers in our circle to get fit and come and join us for a walk across our glorious mountain kingdom. Mokgotsi wa ka, moradi wa Morija, I can't imagine you sitting still for long, so I'm not going to say rest. Instead, I'm going to say keep talking, dancing, laughing. And did I already say talking? Until we meet again, my friends. I love you. Thank you.
Thank you, Siobhan, for that moving tribute. Wow. We also got another fascinating look at Tidi's big circle of friends. I'd say Tidi was amazing. She not only made friends easily, very good friends, but she also kept them. And it didn't matter where in the world they might be. To represent the friends from afar, we have Dr. Seamus McRobin and Me Aida Kiangi. Dr. Seamus.
Dumela Bomebo and Date and Kialbu Hantle, me Mamosepo, and program director for organizing this memorial service and for giving us an opportunity to celebrate Motselisi's life. And I've been listening to everybody's conversation so far, Baba and our last speaker, and I always call her Motselisi. She always said, no, she was to call me CD. And I went, no, I like Motselisi. So we stuck with that for 20 years. And I think one of the things Baba said earlier was that Madisa's brother, how she got to know all her families and became a part of her family. Motselisi, when I first met her 20 years ago, the two of us she was 30, so she was older than me. I was 2 years younger. So I was like just peppering her with questions on what's 30 going to be like? And we sat there, the two of us, sitting by a pool in Senna's Road, I think it was, talking about what the next 20 years of life are going to bring. And over those 20 years, there were ups, there was downs. There was things that went well for her and for us and things that didn't. But we and she always kept going forward, always that font of wisdom and advice, but always a smile. Nothing ever got her down, never stayed angry for long were words that were said earlier. And this kind of generosity of spirit and what we could achieve together. Motselisi was she's had a touch of talking to people where they're at. It didn't matter who they were, where they were, or what country they came from. Motselisi would be interacting with you, talking to you, laughing with you. I remember Motselisi was in Ireland lots of times, at weddings. She stayed in my mum's house when I think I was in Iraq at the time. We met up together and holidayed in Ireland. And when she was there, she met my mum. She met the captain of the local golf club. She became friends with my mother's third cousin. She became friends with my first cousin, who I only discovered a few months ago. We're in this WhatsApp relationship of sharing their journeys and where they were in the world and what they were doing. Of course, I still don't believe this is true. I still believe there is something wrong, that she's going to pop up. I can still hear her in my head, Hela Abuti, and then she'd be like giving out to me for being so stupid, for believing something like this. And yet it is the reality of where we are. I think there was a couple of messages I got from different friends. I think just to read out just some words, I think. I got so much in my heart. She was a truly present and humble person, made you feel like a sister. She could brighten your day. Her presence was always there for everyone. Another one was the minute I met CD, it was an immediate friendship. It is a rarity to have that connection. I love sending messages of where I was traveling to and say, guess where I am now. Motselisi, we got on so well because I think maybe culturally we were so similar. I mean, half our life revolved around being in the kitchen. We either partied in the kitchen or cooked dinner in the kitchen or did everything in the kitchen. And then when Motselisi came to Ireland to visit, and then would be visiting my neighbours and meeting my neighbours in the kitchen. That kind of spirit of connectiveness and having a little dance on the kitchen floor as we do at home when we get together. it just struck me that kind of connectedness and that kind of ability to, as I would say, to understand people where they are. And even then, Siobhan, I think you mentioned yourself, the ability to really try to pronounce really complicated names. And in Ireland, in Gaelic, we have really complicated names. That was no challenge to Motselisi. As she was there looking at road signs in 2 different languages, she'd be like, right, tell me how to pronounce this one. And away she would go. There's a reading I want to share, and that really struck me when I read it. And I just thought of her, and I thought, wow, she lived this example, you know? The reading goes, do not use harmful words in talking. Use only helpful words, the kind that build up and provide what is needed, so that what you say, you will do good to those who hear you. And do not make God's Holy Spirit sad, for the Spirit is God's mark of ownership on you, a guarantee that the day will come when God will set you free. Get rid of all bitterness, passion, and anger. No more shouting or insults. No more hateful feelings of any sort. Instead, be kind and tender-hearted to one another and forgive one another as God has forgiven you in Christ. That was Motselisi. She never used words that were negative. She used words that built us up. She never held grudges. She forgave. She moved on, and she shared her love with you. Motselisi was that kind of person who helped us, all of us here on this call who are her friends, to grow up with her, to make mistakes. But she never kind of pointed my mistakes out. She would kind of go, you've done that one again, or that mistake I've made again. And she understood where I was and where I was coming from. But most importantly, it was just the laughing. If you see the memorial pictures on Facebook, I think, Baba, you mentioned that 20-second video that we got at New Year's Eve. That was so her. You know, I could just say, as you just did it, like, do, happy 21, my darlings, and away she went. And that was just her personality. Nothing held her back. Nothing got her down. She had her trials. She had challenges that she faced, and she overcame with a smile. And a real lesson for us on how to live our lives and to be more like her. It's difficult to put into words was one of the messages that I got from friends of the impact Motselisi has made on all our lives across the world. She was in a small town in County Kildare, where I'm from in Ireland, all the way to Vancouver on the NASA airplane that went from Miseru. And she just kind of went everywhere. And my only regret is that she never came to Pakistan to see me. And that was partly my fault because I couldn't make it happen before I left. I think Motselisi was here with me last year, actually been a year and a bit now, the end of 2019, and came up for a very long weekend after her studies in London. And it was just, what can I say? Let me put it like this. Her presence is still here. She met my husband in 2015 when we visited Johannesburg, and she was just a part of our lives and my life since I was a 28-year-old, a bit clueless, starting work in the UN. And we had so many plans, and that's what we discussed when she was here in 2019. Our conversation was, we're both heading for 50. Now we have got a bit of time, but we need some kind of plan for 50 that we need to celebrate this and look forward to the next 20 years. And that's why this is so tragic and so sad that we have lost. She has lost her life, but we have lost her as well. We've lost that companionship. We've lost that friend to go on the next journey with us for the next 20 years. I don't know what else I can say, and I want to give Ida some time. I think Ida's going to speak next. Yeah, let me stop there because I'm getting emotional and it's hard to say what I want to say. I think the last thing, Motselisi, I mean, she was so cultured, so intelligent, so full of life, you know. And one of the poems that reminds me of her was Clots of Heaven by Yeats. And so we have, I think we've just lost electricity. I'll go fix it in a minute. But let me finish on what Yeats was saying. And had I the heavens embroidered cloths, enwrought with golden and silver light, the blue and the dim and the dark cloths of night and light and half light, I would spread the cloths under your feet. But I, being poor, have only my dreams, and I've spread my dreams under your feet. Tread softly, for you tread upon my dreams. And Motselisi, as our friend, put her life out there. And I'm going to stop there, give Ida an opportunity, and just to say, it has been a pure pleasure to have spent so much time with this generous soul. And I'll hand over to Ida and give her an opportunity. Kia bua hantle.
Thank you. May Ida please go ahead?
Thank you. Hi, good evening, everyone. Wow. All protocols observed, and thank you so much, ladies, for arranging this. My story spans 30 years, just like a lot of the speakers before me. We met at NAL. I was the clueless Tanzanian who had rocked up, managed to do first year, didn't do quite well with math, and so had to repeat math, and that's how I ended up in the year with Motselisi and Party, and the story then, the rest is history. Motselisi and I ended up in the same hostel, and I think at one point we're probably next door neighbors, but you could hear her coming in. I mean, it was that laughter like everyone knows, and she would knock and say, "Hey, Tanzania, Nanguma." That's my name, my first name. She always used to call me Nanguma. "Are you okay?" Or it'd be a long weekend and she'd be like, "Do you have a plan?" If I didn't have a plan, then, I was hauled into Maseru. And Mehmet Sepu always generously received us in the house, and it was always noisy. Motselisi knew people everywhere. I mean, imagine my happiness 10 years ago landing in an MBA class in Denmark. The only other person I knew, the only other African lady was Kutluano. And only for us to spend 5 minutes talking, and already we knew Motselisi, Janice, Genevieve, and I was like, what are the odds I'll end up in Copenhagen and meet this person who knows all these other people that I know? That was the sort of person Motselisi was. I used to tell her many times that I think for somebody who doesn't like animals, you really collect a lot of us human strays. And that's who she was, always generous, always there. Some of my memories, and I think that's where our relationship really cemented beyond NAL, is that we ended up in Stellenbosch together in the same course, in the same small one-bedroom apartment. And we really got to know each other beyond just what was, the classrooms in NAL and the parties. I really found that I found a really good friend. And Motselisi did that for people. You always felt you were her best friend, only for me to realize there were a lot of best friends. But just to give you an example, the holidays that I couldn't come back to Tanzania and Motselisi had to go back to Lesotho, she would actually arrange my entertainment for the time she's away. And so will need to be called. There's a party there, Ida, get yourself there. And that's the person she was, always. One of my favorite, and there are many memories, is when she had moved back to Lesotho and she had the Audi and we did a road trip. Sorry, can you hear me?
We can still hear you, thanks.
Okay, so we did a road trip and it was probably for me an exciting trip because it was from Maseru all the way to the Western Cape. And that's actually the first time I got to meet Siobhan. Now I used to drive and I already knew how to drive, but I was a town driver. I was not a long distance driver. Motselisi was like, "Hey, Nangoma, at some point you're gonna have to take the wheel and drive." And I was really nervous because, it's highways and everything. It's not like we have a lot of highways in Dar es Salaam. And Motselisi gave me the wheel, rather I was instructed to take the wheel, to drive all the way to Plattenberg. Now, I have a fear of heights. I don't know the road very well. There are curves. So in my mind, it's like either she's very brave or she's mad, because those are the only options I had. But that's how she was. She really walked me through it. And to this day, I love distant driving. Anyone who knows me knows I want to be on the long road and it, belting out music. It was Sanko Motor and I didn't know the words, but we were yelling in there. And yes, Barbara, we both don't have singing voices, but we do try. And even in Stellenbosch, she was exploring. We found so many things we could do that on my own, I don't think I'd have really appreciated Stellenbosch the way we did. Fast forward, it was now a given that I will, at some point, show myself in Lesotho. It became a routine. Almost every second year over Easter, because I loved the winter in Lesotho, I'd show up in Maseru. And she'll always ask me, do you need Motselisi to sort out your steam bread? Because I'd fallen in love with steam bread. And I know the road trips where Mpati will drive up to Maseru, I'll be handed over to Motselisi, and it'll be like 2 a.m. in the morning. I still have my suitcases in the car. We've seen everyone and everybody, as she used to say, and then would relax. But Motselisi was really, really considerate. She knew instinctively sometimes when you needed her, even if you didn't know. So to give you an example, in 2013, I went through a tragic moment. Motselisi packed her bags from Lesotho and she came and parked herself in Dar es Salaam until she was happy that I was okay. That's the sort of person she was, generous to a fault, but it did not mean that Motselisi would not bite your head off when she needed to, or she'll be like, Ida, get on with it, you just need to start living, you need to live. You need to learn Sesotho. That was always the pet beef because I was always missing conversations. But the biggest gift she gave me was the sisterhood. A lot of friends that I've met over the years have been because of Motselisi, notwithstanding the ones I made by myself in now, but over the years, and they've embraced me so much that it's a gift that I will forever be grateful for that. And while everyone is claiming Motselisi as family, we know she is family for the Kiangis. She has attended weddings, she has hung out with babies, graduation. So the thread is Motselisi is family with everyone else. I think to Motselisi is to say, we're here, we'll never be able to, to in a million years, be the big personality Motselisi was, but she shared you with us, and we're so grateful that she allowed us to have our own relationship with you, Motselisi. And for that, we'll always call you Me. And wherever I'm at, and whenever I can, I will definitely be coming to get my steam bread now and then. And I think to the friends who have really shared a lot over the last few days, it's just to thank you so much. I'm sitting in Tanzania, but the outpouring of support, people have called me from God knows where, just say, hey, Ida, are you okay? Okay, checking in. And that was the generosity and what Motselisi taught us over the years. Before I start falling apart, I just want to say thank you to everyone and thank you for this opportunity. Motselisi, I love you so much. I will truly, truly, truly miss you. You're in my heart. I can still hear you laughing. I can even hear you telling me, Ida, get over it. But I definitely will try and live up to the expectations you had of me. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Ida, and Seamus. That is so true of Tidi. And you can all see how remarkable Motselisi was. The one thing that she could do easily was to effortlessly bring everyone together, have her family adopt us and adopt everyone, and here we are claiming her to be a Ramakoae and everybody. But you can see she has brought us together even today. We will move on. We don't have a lot of time, getting late. Genevieve, please go ahead.
Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you.
Mpati?
We can see you. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Good evening, Program Director. Thank you, Mpati, and all protocol observed. What an emotional and intense couple of days. My Tiri girl, you know, where do we even begin? I'm speaking really on behalf of my family, the Mutlong family and the Jones family. And I'm representing her babies, big and small, to be exact. Her godchild, Georgia, and Christopher, and Janice. Tiri and I met over 30 years ago. I think our friendship spans from the days of her mom's, Mematepo's relationship with Maggie. And I think we were kind of brought together in that awkward way where Motselisi was dropped off at Hotel Mafiteng to come and spend a couple of days with me. And I remember Motselisi after a while, her complaining and saying that she would, why do I have to spend time with these girls from Joburg? And to make matters worse, now I've got to speak English for more than one day, you know? And that was just how our connection started. It was instantaneous. It was natural. And I think it was really testament of the relationships that Tiri had. And I think listening to everybody's testimony and everybody's acknowledgement of their time together, that's what Tiri was all about, was about bringing people together. She was a catalyst of so many of these relationships. There's so many friendships. There's so many really great, beautiful friendships that I've been able to establish through Tiri and vice versa, through my circle of friends in Johannesburg, from Nandi to Chanel to the renter crowd that we were called in Johannesburg. And it's just, I'm still incredibly emotional to come to terms with this loss, to have a person that has been a part of most of your adult and teenage life, not to be present with me anymore, to journey with me, to make mistakes, to do life, to laugh at our mistakes, to do things over, to give encouragement, to be somebody that you could spoon with on the side. You know, you didn't even have to say much. You know, it was that, it was never an awkward silence with Tiri, you know. And I was speaking to Janice earlier and just reminiscing on the laugh that didn't just come from her face, but it came from the bottom of her belly. And that's the laugh that I'm going to miss. I'm going to miss the honesty. I'm going to miss her just telling me that, Jen, it's okay, you know. We can do it, and we've done it, and we can do it again, you know. My side buddy, the person that was with me when we did our initiation out in traveling, you know, jumping from train to train in Europe. What an amazing time I had, my friend. And just on behalf of Maggie and my mom, they send their love. As you journey away from us, they send their love. They're going to miss you. And also Janice. Tiri, what I ask of you is if you're able to give, how big or how small, even if it's a ray of sunshine, please bestow it upon us, you know. You were what you were with her, you know. You were the sister. And there was times when I was just a little bit envious of that relationship, but it was an incredible relationship you had with her. And we've got sisters, and we saw what a beautiful relationship that was. And we love you, Tiri. Bye.
Thank you, Genevieve. Phew. Okay, that was quite moving. But that's who Tiri was. She gave freely of herself, her time, her smile, her warm hugs, meals, as we've heard, She always availed herself. Lovely, well thought out gifts. Actually, she give you anything, accessories, clothes, scarves, products of the Mountain Kingdom. Thank you. We are now going to move on to the more professional life of CD, her professional and business activities, especially after she moved back to Maseru. She first joined the UNDP and then Motapa Exploration. So we're going to hear from Menya Kalumpatua on behalf of Mutaidanas and Charubist on behalf of the UNDP. Thank you. Menya Kalu.
The host has asked you to start your video.
In the meantime, can we have Charu? Charu, can you go ahead, please?
Thank you, and good morning, good afternoon to everyone. I'm speaking on behalf of the United Nations colleagues that knew CD so well. She was a very important part of our lives in a different country. Many of Lesotho was one of the first few countries in our UN career that we landed up in. At least for me, it was my first one, far away from Nepal. And she definitely made it home for a lot of us. The news of her passing away was a shock to all of us. At the same time, being CD, she managed to connect all of us after 15, 20 years or 15 years plus that we left our Lesotho, and friends are connecting again. And that's, I think, the spirit of CD that continues to live on. A very big heart she had, a very strong heart and a very beautiful laugh. She always had a twinkle in her eye. Now that I've heard all her friends speaking, her family members also, I remember very clearly that very sweet twinkle in her eye. And I'm going to continue to remember that for the next, while we remember CD. A lot of friends have also sent in notes about her. And I'm going to read just a few out. CD loved wholeheartedly. When she loved you, the whole world would know. She wouldn't just talk about it, but she would show you and the world and any chance that she got. She would root for you against all odds. That was from our friend Motselisi, who sent that for CD. I received a lot of other notes from CD, so I've just summarized it because of the time constraints that we have. She was such a rock for us. For all of us who had left our roots, we came to another beautiful country. We all remember Lesotho so well. She became our rock, our foundation for building up our homes there, which we did. She was a force of nature, her laughs and smiles always as big as her bright and beautiful heart. And essentially what we all remember about CD is that, as I've mentioned before, she so sweetly and lovingly took all of us kind of strangers under her protective wing, but it was also the most fun-loving wings that I have ever been under. The places she showed us, the fun times we've had, the laughs that we've shared. It's such a good memory. The treks, the hikes, various places that we visited. We went skiing. A lot of us, our first skiing memory is in Lesotho, which when we tell all our other friends, it's a really surprise that, oh, our first skiing boots we put on with CD and we were constantly rolling down that hill, laughing out very loudly. So I think I would love to remember CD like this for the force that she was, for the lot of joy she brought all of us, but we do miss CD greatly and we'll always miss her. Our condolences, of course, to her mother and her brother and all the family and friends. We did not want to miss her. We did not want to lose her so fast, but we wish that she rests in peace, and we thank her and her soul for having brought so much joy to so many of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sharon. CD was also an environmental practitioner, an active businesswoman. So to speak on some of those investments and environmental activities, we have Dade Hank Krebs from Rama Holdings. Okay. All right, and Dade Damani, you may go ahead with your speech on behalf of the environmental practitioners.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Can hear you now. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. I feel very honored to give my memories of Motselisi. It's a little bit awkward knowing that, sorry about this light, hearing from her friends and her family that have known her since childhood and primary school. And, I only got to know her probably about 18 months ago with our project in Lesotho. Got to know her mom very well, we're actually neighbors in Lesotho. But so she was absolutely one of those people that when she walked into a room, even if it was business, I mean, obviously we met her under the context of business, she brought a light and an ease to all business. Many of you mentioned her laugh. And traveling to Lesotho or meeting her in Johannesburg, it was one of the things I always looked forward to, was meeting with her and discussing the project that we have in Lesotho. And it was always, what touched me about her was the sort of not the humanity, but the friendliness and the ease of doing business that she brought to the table. She was obviously a consummate professional. I've been fortunate to have worked with many, many people in my life, and she's the one person that I always relied on heavily in our business dealings. And she always got stuff done with a smile on her face. And if we asked her to assist or help with challenges we've had or ideas, she would always come up and give her thoughts and a different perspective, and it will be sorely missed. I've been asked to speak.
Hey.
I've been asked to talk on sort of the professional side of her and the business side, but I do believe we became friends during the past 18 months that we've known each other. And the two things, well, there are many things I'm sad about, but the two things I always wished I had more time to do is she promised me a round of golf, and we always joked about playing golf, whether it be here or in South Africa, because I know she absolutely loves golf, and so do I. And also that she would teach me Basotho in the next 6 months, and we had a bet that she would be able to. I would beat her in golf, and she would teach me Basotho and be able to speak the language locally. So she's been sorely missed since she fell ill. It's been quite difficult for us as a company and as a team, not necessarily from a business perspective, but the room was always empty. And that was the one thing we always felt since the end of the last year, was we had meetings here, we had meetings in Johannesburg, and there was always something missing if she wasn't present. There was a laugh, an ease of doing business, and her friendliness and her smile, which was always, it doesn't matter what challenges we faced, it doesn't matter what we discussed in business, it always seemed when speaking to her that the art of the impossible, that if we worked with her and we worked through challenges, that she always had a way of making things work out and not as sort of negative as one would think. So she was an absolutely integral part of our operations and our business. And I've said this to Motselisi and Memoelo, who's part of the company as well, on many, many occasions, that we would not be as far and as successful where we are now if it wasn't for her inputs and her ease and her way of doing business. So, not really from a business perspective only, but from a friendship and a feel of community. She will be absolutely sorely missed around the table, whether it was having lunch at Piri Piri, which is still one of my favorite restaurants, and going and having a glass of wine with her. And in her honor, I'm having a glass of white wine tonight, remembering her. So it's been a devastating loss for all of us, not just for the project and the business, but for people for us as a community of people working together to achieve something. And she always brought this human element to the business, that it's not always just about building something, but connecting and building something for the community and those around us, and involving those that we wouldn't necessarily thought to have involved. So she was one of the most talented and forward-thinking entrepreneurs and businesswomen that I've ever met in my life. And my regret is that I didn't sort of engage and meet her sooner, but she has left a big vacant hole in not only our dreams for Lesotho and what we're trying to achieve here, but just in our circle of friends, on meetings and phone calls. I mean, the past 6 months, I would say, I think I got to the point where I almost irritated her, because I would phone her 3-4 times a day and touch base on the project and how things are progressing. But ironically, 20 minutes into the discussion, we haven't even spoke about the project once. We just spoke about family and friends and how things are going. And she always asked how the kids are doing. So there was this, and I've said it before, there's this human element, this connection that she brought to everything that she touched, and listening to everyone who's spoken about her, whether it be student days or varsity days, growing up, or later on when she moved on to bigger and bigger things. Sitting here in Lesotho in Mosiri today, it almost feels strange and odd not being with her and chatting, and whether it's being for dinner at her mom's house or at Piri Piri, or even just here. It's been a loss for all of us, and standing on site today thinking about her, I know she would have wanted to see the success going forward, and we've spoken about it as a company, and we will immortalize her in some way in the project, because I think that is how she lives on in us and her friends and her family. She will continue to live going forward in our thoughts and our memories, in our hopes and dreams for ourselves, for the businesses we were building, for the community involvement. And it was a shock. It was an absolute shock to us all. I spoke to her probably about a week before, and she was quite upbeat. She's feeling better, and then got the absolutely devastating news last week. And it really has been a shock to us all. But from our side, from Marama Holdings, from the people that interacted with her during this project, she was an absolute light, an absolute blessing, and she will be sorely, sorely missed by all of us. As I said, I would have loved to play a round of golf with her. I looked forward to being tutored in Basotho, and not sure how those things will always be open for us, and things that we wanted to complete. But I think seeing all the people listening to us and giving your memories of her, she was an incredible woman and an amazing friend and a astute and professional business lady, and she will be absolutely sorely missed. And I hope all of us, through whether it be friends or family or business, we will continue to honor her memory and remember her in everything we do going forward. So, Motselisi, may you rest in peace, and may we never forget you.
May she rest in peace indeed. Menya Gallo, are you back on? Nyenyagallo. Dade Stanley Damani, on behalf of the environmental practitioners, please go ahead.
Good evening, colleagues and good friends of Motselisi. Let me also start by saying all protocol observed. And on behalf of this category, I represent almost or over 100 people who have worked with Motselisi. That's how I addressed her when we met anytime ever since we knew each other about 19 years ago. But I think a lot has been said by those who spoke before me about the kind of a person she was. It is really a sad loss for the fraternity which it stood for, which is environmental management, and that profession knew her very well. And I knew her also during the time when she was working for UNDP, and then her journey into consultancy, and until we realized that there was some malpractices, in this profession of environmental management, particularly with people who were doing the environmental impact assessment reports for the investors. And then we decided that we should regulate this profession so that malpractices can be controlled. And she became one of the people to come together as practitioners and try to start something. And then we established the Environmental Assessment Practitioners Association of Lesotho, IPA. And she has been around since its beginning, and until recently in 2019 she became the Secretary General. She was supposed to go on until May 2021. It's a 2-year tenure. But here we are. She was also the member of the executive committee of that association. This adds up to the person she has been to many of us, and what has been said by many people who spoke before me. And I can briefly say, since it's late in the day, that on behalf of the IPAL, its president and members, and the Department of Environment, we are really shattered by this loss. But what can we say? It's part of life. We're all going to take the same route. May the Almighty God console all of us and the family. And from what we have said or has been said since the beginning of this program, I can quote Abraham Lincoln, where he said, "It is not the years in your life, but the life in your years that counts." In that space, that period that she has been with us, she has made such an impact, that puts more work in her short years than the years could go on and on with nothing anybody doing. For that, she was a giant, and she's the person we'll never forget in our lives. May her soul rest in peace. Thank you very much.
May your soul rest in peace indeed. Dade Damani, we've just heard the sad news of your own loss of a parent. Please accept our condolences and would like to thank you for your commitment still to our.
Thank you, May. I was afraid that you might hear the commotion of people crying here, but I'm going to handle that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Judge. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now move on to the boards. We heard earlier that CD sat on a number of boards, and today we have Mayor Manelo Pumani, who is representing Metropolitan, and Ndadete Mushumi, who's representing Sahlulo Investments. Mayor Manelo, please go ahead.
Good evening, Program Director. Good evening, everyone. I'll be speaking on behalf of Metropolitan Lesotho. Sure. TD was appointed to the Metropolitan Health Board last year in March of 2020 as an independent director after a very rigorous recruitment process. She was then immediately elected as the chairperson of the board. During TD's stay in hospital, I had been getting some updates from a friend on how TD was doing. And I must say that I didn't consider this outcome because TD was such a fighter. She was larger than life. And I thought there was still so much for her to contribute. So it was quite a shock to hear of her passing. When I heard that she had passed, I immediately texted one of the executive directors, and we were really heartbroken. We are heartbroken, and we were lamenting at the losses. We had just lost a colleague in Botswana, and TD just passing was such a blow. When I then also told all the other directors of her passing, everybody's devastated. We're all devastated. Although her tenure at Metropolitan Lesotho was what Metropolitan Health was short, TD just had added so much value, and she had added so much insight to the business. And as a company, we were looking forward to so much more of her contribution. Many of you may be wondering what an environmentalist was doing in health insurance. That was TD. She was a good corporate governance specialist. She had so much experience as a director. She was a consummate professional, and Metropolitan Lesotho has been robbed of her. We feel the loss keenly throughout the business. We wish Mema Tsepo and the family Godspeed as they mourn her loss. TD, you ran your race the only way you know how. Rest now.
Thank you very much, Mayor Manelo. Today's stories about TD are so consistent. A dedicated professional, an ambassador for Lesotho, an ambassador for its natural wealth, a protector of the environment. But not only that, TD also did a lot of charity work and helped the less fortunate. Here to share some of this work with us is Ntate Beake Khibane for Hlokomela Banana and Me Mahadi Hlasa for Riders for Health. Ntate Beake, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Can you see me, man? Can you hear me?
Can hear you and see you. Thank you.
Oh, you can see me. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Program Director. All protocol observed. Hlokomela Banana has been very close to TD's heart. And I will try to summarize in 5 minutes, if I'll be able to do that. Hlokomela Banana was launched in 2015 at the Queen's Gala dinner, when pledged to the Queen's Trust to collaborate with Her Majesty on an initiative aimed at keeping girls in school while they were menstruating. Her Majesty wanted to restore the dignity of Basotho girls, some of who miss school for over 50 days annually. They were on their monthly periods. I approached Les to start a group, and let South Africa heeded the call by Her Majesty to provide sanitary wear to all school-going girls and to ensure that they don't miss school due to their womanhood. And Liles became a key sponsor in this initiative. We're already doing a Care for Girls initiative in South Africa. So we presented the proposal to Her Majesty with Care for Girls, and she actually said she will be glad if we can come up with a Sotho name. And that is where Hlokomela Banana came, the name came. We launched Hlokomela Banana in Mogotlong in a very remote school called St. James High School in 2015. We were working with Mentakwana Ngatane. She left in 2015, and there was a big vacuum that she left when in 2015. And I remember a few months, I was having a drink at Marcelo Golf Club, and in came CD with his signature laughter, beaming, hugging everybody. And that's when it dropped, because I thought, there is the face of Hlokomela Banana. So I was having some wine, she came and joined me, and I said, Sidi, this initiative that we are doing with Her Majesty. She said, oh, I know, Hlokomela Banana. I said, yeah. Would you like to be part of this initiative? She said, yeah, it would be an honor. And immediately she had a business plan. So it was like Sidi was waiting for this call all along. So she was the face, she was the ambassador, she was a volunteer, she was a coordinator for 5 years in Hlokomela Banana. And I remember she said to me, you know, my brother, she used to call me my brother. She said, my brother, in order to ensure this initiative is self-sustainable, let's get companies to adopt schools. That's where we came with the Adopt School initiative. So, and then CD started approving most of the companies. And then there were a few individual people who wanted to be part of this initiative. And CD came up with what we called Adopt a Girl, where you SMS using both Econet and Vodacom, who were our partners there. And I remember when we launched that SMS campaign, we adopted 725 girls just out of that SMS campaign that CD came up with. So from 2017 up to date, we have adopted 228 schools through the program. We have reached 90,530 girls in Lesotho. We have donated over 1 million sanitary pads. And CD was a true Moradi wa Mosotho. What she achieved in 5 years with Hlokomela Banana, will achieve. And I must say, she's have left a very big vacuum again. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we will deal with it. Who are not you and your family. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ndate. Mayor Mahadi, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Gomel Bontate. I'm Mahadi Shasa. I'm representing Riders for Health. I represent the staff at Riders for Health Lesotho, the founders of this organization who are based in the United Kingdom, and the Board of Trustees in Lesotho. Motselisi was part of the board. She was a member of the Board of Trustees here. And we started working with her 8 years ago. So I think I've been listening to people talking about Motselisi, and I feel like we have been very saddened by her passing, but listening to what people have been saying, we only knew her on professional level. We didn't know all these things, these other things about her. So I was just thinking, if I was Motselisi and all the friends that are listening, it's really comforting to know that you raised such a hero. And for us, what we know about Motselisi was that she loved her country so much. Every time we met with her, she came to the meetings, she was always adamant about doing good things for this country. And every time she would come up with ideas on how to improve, how to expand our services so that we reach even the people who are isolated. As you know, our country, the terrain is very difficult in other areas. She was really very passionate about what we're doing. So, and I remember when we first met her, she didn't know anything about this organization. She was actually recommended by many people to join our board. So when we talked to her at first, we thought, when I met her in person, I thought she's so young. I don't think she'll be interested in transport logistics for health. I don't think this is something that she's going to like. But she was so involved, and every time she came up with new ideas on what more we can do to help this nation, to take this organization forward. And she was always advocating for independence. As you know, we are a mainly donor-funded organization. She was pushing towards sustainability and independence so that we are able one day to be able to carry on with funds generated from within the country or mainly from the program itself, so that we are not 100% dependent on donors. So we have made a huge strides towards gaining this independence. So I remember when we had our meetings, Motselisi was always amongst the first people to arrive. She was very punctual. And there were times when we would have very difficult conversations, and there were some times when we had to undertake difficult assignments. And every time she would volunteer, she would say, please let me take that up. I'll report back to the group. So every time there was a difficult assignment, Motselisi was never shy to take that up. And everything was, I don't think she was ever afraid to undertake anything difficult. And always she came up victorious. So I really think, Motselisi, we haven't met, but I think we really understand what you're going. This is a great loss, not only for you and your family and for her friends, but we also feel that we have lost, and it's going to be very difficult to get someone like Motselisi again on our board. The last time I met her, we were at Pick and Pay, and then I was supposed to send some documents through to them, to the rest of the board. And I just indicated that this afternoon I will be sending through, because every time I send documents down for review, even before the meeting, she would always be the first one to respond. I've never seen her getting tired. She would always come with so much enthusiasm to the meetings, and I've never seen someone so young and very dedicated. For me, I thought, yes, she was still very young, and I think it's a great loss, not only for us, but for this country. I think we're going to reach a lot, we're going to gain a lot, and we were at a time when we were working on our reviewing our strategic goals, and she was a leading force towards that. I don't know what we are going to do, but we just want to say to all the people we really thank God for the opportunity to know Memo TDC, and we thank God that she was able to impact positively to the growth, towards the growth of our organization, and also towards the expansion of our program, so that the services we offer in this country could reach more people than before. We are still trying to get to terms with these laws, and we just want to ask God to comfort all of us who are on this call and all the other people who have known Memo CDC. But we just want to thank God for a life well lived. We know that Memo CDC really lived her life. We have had testimonies from her friends and also from her colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Me. We are truly grateful for the life that we had with CD. I must apologize. I went past the date of Seaflo Investments. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Program Director. My name is Teboho Mohlomi. I'm one of the members of the board of Seaflo Investment Company. Hello. Can you hear me, member?
Yes, Daddy, we can hear you.
Thank you. Yes, I was saying that I'm a member of the Seaflo Investment Company board of directors, in which we served with Motselisi. I'm representing the same Seaflo Investment Company. We really are touched and deeply hurt by the loss of this giant. First of all, before I go to the message from Seaflo, I wish to reiterate and confirm all that was said by the former students of the National University of Lesotho. That is where I first met Motselisi, and I have known her for quite a while now. I'm new in the board of directors of Seaflo, but I've been given this mammoth task to come and represent Seaflo because all the members, the board members of Seaflo were very close and close friends of Motselisi, and all of them would not be able to come and represent here because they would break down and cry. So maybe I'm the tough one. Motselisi, as was previously said, had very good work ethics and was a dedicated and diligent colleague. She was, I think, the members of Seaflo deliberately appointed her to the board because they realized her capabilities and her expertise and the work ethics, as I've indicated. We were still expecting a lot from her, as she was rightly defined as a very dedicated and energetic person. I honestly wish to say to all the members of Seaflo that we don't have words to describe the loss that we have incurred. Ke rata hape hore ho mme Matshepo le ho bohle metswalle e tsibileng Motshidisi le bakgotsi ba hae, ke re bohloko boo le butlwileng Morena Modimo wa botseba, o shebile dipelo tsa lona, mme le tshidisehe, ke a leboha. May her soul rest in peace.
How be jwalo. Thank you, Dad. So we have, I think we have to acknowledge at this point the outpouring of love and comfort that is also being expressed elsewhere on Facebook and on YouTube. We have over 200 comments that viewers are posting, and that is just an indication of how many lives CD touched. We also know that CD was an adventurer of note. She traveled whenever and wherever she could. She played golf, she cycled, she hiked, she explored Lesotho. And here to tell us about some of these adventures, Dade Christian Schmidt for Lesotho Sky, and Dade Nkama Dede, a fellow golfer, Dade Sebata Mutsamai for Reahole Hikers Club. Bundade, in that order, please, starting with Dade Christian Schmidt.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Moradi wa Mosotho, daughter of a Mosotho, Tochter eines Mosotho, Fille de Mosotho, Hija de Mosotho. It wasn't long until our paths first crossed in Maseru, a place with many familiar strangers. It wasn't hard to connect with such a vibrant and energetic soul, but no doubt our common village Morija also played its role. Usually surrounded by like-minded individuals, you made sure to be available to those that mattered. Your appreciation for the beauty of Lesotho and your love for traveling formed the basis of the friendship with the Lesotho Sky core team, crew and riders from near and far. Despite your mild cycling allergy, you knew exactly who in your vast network to invite to partake in the upcoming competition. Lesotho Sky had met a serious ambassador that is dearly missed and impossible to replace. With your experience in the Lesotho tourism sector, you were always full of sound opinions and advice. When the journey led us out of the city and into the Roma Valley, you made sure to be part of it. The next adventure always awaits. And when I invited you to join a 6-day adventure hike along the old trading routes from Simonkong to Roma, you had committed even before you knew how strenuous the route would be. That's also where you would receive your nickname Princess, after discovering that your strictly limited hiking luggage comprised of a way more than a single pack horse could carry. And that was before we loaded whiskey and wine to celebrate your 44th birthday high up in the Maluti Mountains. I thank you for confirming the belief in the goodness in most people, countless laughs, and your amazing friends that I feel honored to call mine too. Cheers to our friend, ambassador, fellow adventurer, and simply amazing human being. Obalaka Khotso Alsiwaka. Until we meet again.
Thank you, Daddy. Can Natingau please go ahead, please?
Thank you, Madam Director. Everyone else on the call, protocol observed. As I was waiting for my chance to say a few remarks about Motselisi, I was honoring her the best way I know how, over a glass of wine. That was CD that we know and we liked. I'll only talk about CD on the golf course. CD was, she was our number one golfer, if I can put it that way, in Maseru Golf Club. So if anyone watching here, you have played Motselisi and you have beaten her on the golf course, don't look forward to playing anyone or any lady golfer in Lesotho. Just know you'll beat them as well. We have a flagship competition that we call Mhokare Golf Classic. Motselisi has been a champion for that competition at least twice that I can recall. We will really miss Motselisi. And we enjoy more than play golf. So whenever we went on a trip that Motselisi was part of, we knew that at least on the last day, on the Medal of Honor, if none of us made it to the top 10, in fact, I'm being generous, top 20, if we failed to make that top ranking, Motselisi will be somewhere there. So she was really our best golfer, and she was unique. She made sure that she knew everybody. She could laugh and be friends with anyone else. I also played with Motselisi on other social outings. Motselisi knew fine things in life. Those who know me and have my WhatsApp profile, you will see the profile picture that I'm showing there was one of the pictures that we took in Atlantic Beach in Cape Town, where we went to play with Motselisi and 4 other friends of mine. We went there in style. We did not go there by cars. We went there on a private jet with Motselisi, organized by our friend, even the course chosen by her. We've been to Durban Royal, playing with Motselisi. But one of the memorable outings that I can recall was when we went to play a golf course, I think it's called Serengeti. It's somewhere along the R21 as you go to the airport. So it was the first time that we got introduced to these gadgets where you put your scores from different 4 balls, so you could see how others are playing. And when we were not appearing anywhere, because it was a competition between countries that was sponsored by another bank, all our names were not there, but you would see Motselisi going up and up the ladder, and it was pride to see her do that. I've also been to play with Motselisi in Swaziland on a course called Nkonyeni. Botswana, I don't know how many times, Gaborone Golf Club, Pakalani. Motselisi was always the one to save our face. So she will truly be missed. One of the other things other than playing golf that I'll remember Motselisi by, I just realized that she was so young. Usually people would call me, until recently I was the president of Maseru Golf Club. So people would say, President, Press, Dadematit. Motselisi called me Ngau. And she would demand and direct you and come to the golf club and choose the most expensive wine and make sure that you pay for it. And you would dare not say no to Motselisi. CD, I also know her as a cook. I've not had a privilege to taste many of her dishes, but one of the things that made us connect was that she used to come to my house for something called lemongrass. I didn't know I have lemongrass in my yard until Mercedes visited me and she showed me something that I just thought it was a shrub that I used to use for my gin and tonic. So she liked this lemongrass so much because it's huge that she was using it to cook. So Motselisi, maybe lastly, I can just talk about her as the organizer. All these outings that we went to play golf or have fun, because she loved fun, mostly golf related, she would be the organizer. Motselisi is the one who will choose which one we are going to have, and she will make sure that she choose the most expensive. So she truly introduced us, her friends, to finer things in life. I think Motselisi was also, she should have been from a royal family, because she had a magnet. I think others have already said that. How le marena o atisa ho bokanelwa ke batho. Motselisi wasn't the type to be alone where she is. She would be laughing and making others laugh as well. Motsepo o ne o na le kgalala mme. Re lla le wena empa ga leboa ka nnete ka sebaka seo re se fileng sona hore ebe re la ra tseba Motselisi as a friend. She abused us, she bossed us. Whenever we went to these many trips that we used to go to, Motselisi would just point one of us gentlemen who would pick her from her house. And I was always the culprit to go and pick Motselisi from her house. We will miss you, our friend. We never thought it will be this soon, but probably Motselisi knew that she wasn't going to be long in this part of life. Because if you look at how she lived her life, what she did, the fun that she had, the impact that she made, whether it's in business, on the golf course, you could see that she was someone who was doing it so that she can finish and go to some other place where she has gone to. Go well, friend, go well, golfer, the #1 golfer, lady golfer in Lesotho. Maybe I must also say something controversial before I finish. During the days of my presidency of Maseru Golf Club, one of the difficult conversations was when we had competitions, the international competitions, especially for the ladies. The ladies just love being on these trips. So it would be difficult to see how do you balance the cost of these competitions where you know that we are going to be last. If there are 5 countries, we'll be number 5 country, and use the small resources that we had for improvement of the golf course. So it was always a difficult one. So Motselisi was my right-hand person to go and speak sense to the ladies. So lady golfers, those who are watching, if you missed any international competition, it wasn't your president, it was Motselisi who was making sure that you miss out on those. And then the last memorable one will also be last year, when you are president of Maseru Golf Club, one of the controversies will always be around making sure that people pay their dues. So Motselisi came to me and she said, my friend, le mo kgatlo wa mpate ceiling batho ba patala ha ona motho ka bapala golf mona sa patale the subscription. That was Motselisi, and I knew that if you had Motselisi behind you, you could relax. She was loyal, resolute, truthful, and direct. Go well, friend. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Dr. Martin. Ndate Sebata Motsamai, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Empathy and also let me associate myself with the protocol that has been outlined in the beginning and indicated that I'm representing a whole hikers, of which Motselisi was also a member to that. Perhaps I should allude that what has been said by the previous speakers that have already indicated how she was, and then what was her conduct, and also in terms of the persistent laughter that always she will have. I think those are the kind of the traits that City have. I should indicate that because we do the hiking, and our hiking club is a combination of different skills, and also it helps in terms of different professions to interact and then share the experiences on a conducive environment where perhaps we don't take hard decisions, but we share. So Tsidi was one of them, because I still remember that there were 3 ladies that have recently joined our hiking club, and they insisted. Perhaps we didn't resist that request, because of the pressure that it was put on us to say that they want to be part of the hiking, though we wanted to say to them, you can do well without being part of us. Why can't we always invite each other where we go, not being part of us in terms of the membership? But, I can tell you the master of ceremony that we didn't resist that challenge that they always put on us. So I think she was more resourceful to us because even before officially they became the members, because there were 3 ladies, well, most of us were gentlemen, and then before that we benefited in most of their support and contributions to our hiking. So perhaps we should indicate that we have enjoyed Motselisi contribution in this regard, but also she was also tough in terms of our hiking. She will finish the trip that we have. I think there were a few where she will sometimes have a taste of a trip and then come back, but in most cases she will make sure that she will finish and then be there. We should indicate that really that we have enjoyed her company, which was fully help us. Me nna ke ke tla re me Matshepo ke dumele hore Tsidi o phethile thomo ya hae, mme jwalo ka tse ke tjho mme ke re rona re fumane ditholwana tse molemo ho yena ha re ntse re tsamaya le yena tsa boeletsi, re fumane ditaba tsa bohlokwa ho yena. Mme nna ke nka ke re re amoheleng ka nnete ho lona bana ba Ramakoae, re amoheleng hore Tsidi mosebetsi wa hae wa letsatsi o phethile, mme re hopoleng hape hore ke ha letsatsi le ka la dikela re tla tseba hore re ka fumana mahlasedi a dinaledi, mme dinaledi tsena re hopoleng hore ha di kganya ke yona tsela eo bohle re tshwanang ho tsamaya ka yona go kopana le mopi wa rona. Mme nna ke nka ke re bophelo ba rona bophelo bo fella moo re tla re lefifi le a rwana le kganya dipelong tsa rona, empa taba ena ha e bolele hore bophelo bo felletse, empa bo bolela hore rona bohle kaofela ke yona tsela re tla kopana le mopi wa rona. Re tshileng re mmone, re qotile le yena ha ntse a le moo dipateng tsa hae tse tjhesang, ha ntse a re qabola re sa nahane hore taba ena e tla ke taba e seng e re beile mona mo re leng hona teng, empa he tseo kaofela di tswe ke Morena Modimo. I think we should pray and then let her go and then say, go well, Tsidi, and go well. Our fine hiker, we have learned a lot from you, and we hope we'll meet you again in the next life. I should really say that we, as people, as members of Reahola, we wish her a very good journey, and then we'll be joining her. And then still remember that we're also planning to have you in the next hike in 2021, and also to welcome you way back in Lesotho. But things have changed, but I hope our colleagues in the hiking team will continue to do that and then be able to fulfill the promise that a welcome back hike should be organized, and then I hope our colleagues will be doing that. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Ndati. We're supposed to have Ndati Morena Mmeli on behalf of the Masui community where TV lived. But I don't think he's on the call. But we are drawing to a close. We're nearing the end of our program. And I would like to thank you for your patience, for your participation, your heartfelt messages, and for returning to this love. I am sure a lot of CD's friends. So to wrap up, we will have Ndati Ramakoae to give us a vote of thanks by the family.
Thank you, Program Director and Awesome Party, and all protocol observed. I would also like to, at this point in time, I'd like to thank these friends for putting this memorial service together. Even though we had a bit of glitches in the beginning, but I will thank our IT gurus to have managed us through this evening. And this has been quite a moving evening, because we managed to, all of us from different parts of the world, we could come together, even though virtually, to bid her farewell. On behalf of Ramakoae's family, I would like to extend our gratitude for the endless messages of condolences during these trying times. It was really comforting, as well as showing the indication that TD will be missed in most people's lives. The tributes that were ushered show that she was a person with many talents. It has all been said. And if we could just take a step back and look at TD's name, TD's literally translated means one who comforts us. Now that she's gone, who's going to comfort us? She will always be remembered.
Friends, family, we have come to the end of today's program. Thank you very much again. Please continue with your messages of support on the Facebook page and on YouTube. These will be collated for the WhatsApp. Thank you.